prison tonight to speak. And it is interesting that not a single member of the One Bermuda Alliance cabinet has come to the defense of the One Bermuda Alliance. Not a single member that enjoys the collective responsibility for the actions that the Attorney General has taken, that has put our treaty at risk, has got up to defend his actions. And we heard something about Guantanamo Bay earlier. Well, members may also not realize that this treaty came into effect after the Uyghurs came here. And it's because of those type of relationships that are built that you get these type of mutual assistance treaties, that you work together well. So in one case, we see actions which were taken, which the One Bermuda Alliance would want to criticize, which led or could have been a factor in a treaty. And in the other case, we have a government that by their very actions in this particular case could put this treaty and all that hard work to get there at risk. Now, I just heard the Honorable Deputy Speaker take to her feet and talk about how you can't interfere with justice. She's right. She may want to tell that to her Attorney General. She might direct it to him, Mr. Speaker, because our treaty is not at risk for any other matter than the Attorney General doing things that the Attorney General should not do. And no, you cannot cherry-pick justice, but you also can't cherry-pick words from a treaty which was passed by the United States Senate and also in this Parliament, Mr. Speaker. You can't. A treaty is law. It is the highest form of law. It is what we are bound to do, Mr. Speaker. And the Deputy Speaker might actually want to understand the difference between criminal and civil. Allow me to help her out. When it comes to a criminal matter, there have been no charges filed in any country, United States and or in Bermuda. The interference has happened is that we now have a civil complaint which has been filed in the United States, which seems to contain information that could have only come from a police investigation. And the question is, how on earth will the government and the Attorney General have access to police information or information that would be obtained by law enforcement if no criminal charges have been filed? Let's be real about what's going on here, Mr. Speaker. Let's be real. This is a government that will try and do anything they can to try to gain a political advantage while ignoring and not addressing the needs of the very people in which they serve. We've done 5 government bills over the past 2 weeks, Mr. Speaker. 2 of them dealt with giving $2.4 billion of revenue away to a Canadian company. And 2 more that we did today discuss making sure that we take the actions necessary to protect our interests in our international business sector. But what about the people? We see $4 million going to this law firm, $2 million going to a law firm of which a cabinet minister's wife just happens to be a director. We see $1 million here to this friend and another $1 million here to this family. And now today we're seeing money being sent to the United States for a law firm, for a civil trial, and a PR firm as well. Why on earth would the government need to retain a PR firm for an action in the United States? A PR firm. But we can't afford to upgrade the security in our schools, and we can't afford to give our children in middle schools access to wireless internet. Here's what we know, Mr. Speaker. This is without question that the United States Department of Justice contacted the Attorney General of this country about possible violations of a treaty. That is a fact. And you know how we know it's a fact, Mr. Speaker? Because nobody in this parliament has risen to defend that. And when asked repeatedly, the Honorable Minister of Justice, the Attorney General, refused to answer. This disclosure has put our treaty at risk. There is no question about that, Mr. Speaker, because there are specific things inside of this treaty which have been violated, Mr. Speaker. And we know, because the Honorable Member from Constituency number 13 stood up, and also the Honorable Deputy Leader stood up, when talking about cabinet approval, how is it that cabinet doesn't have knowledge of an action before it's filed? Something this serious, Mr. Speaker, this serious, when we are talking about a lawsuit against an incredibly reputable hospital which has saved hundreds of lives of Bermudians, and a lawsuit is filed and the cabinet doesn't know about it, and somehow this is okay, somehow this is acceptable, somehow this is how we do business, somehow we're engaging in the politics of distraction? No, Mr. Speaker, this is the very nature of why we're here. This government and this cabinet is accountable to this parliament. And when they file a lawsuit, they're filing a lawsuit in all of our names. So we need to know and understand why. So when the newspaper asks how much money are they spending, why are they hiring a law firm, all the rest, we get nothing. Why won't the minister tell us? We asked the Honorable Shadow Attorney General, emailed the minister yesterday, asked if he'll make a statement. And the Honorable Attorney General, the top legal officer in the country, said, no, I won't, because it's sub judice. Nonsense, Mr. Speaker, because you know, and I know, and everyone knows that it's not sub judice, because the only things that are sub judice are things that are before our courts. He just doesn't want to come and provide the scrutiny and answer the questions here in Parliament, which could be seen by him deflecting this morning. But the people of this country, Mr. Speaker, are not stupid. They listen. They pay attention. And even though some news media, which prints newspapers on a daily basis, didn't tell the people that he refused to answer the questions, didn't put the questions of which were posed to him, just says, Minister defends. You can't say you defend if you don't answer the question. Were you or were you not contacted by the Department of Justice? Yes, you were. Why is it that all the cabinet ministers are silent, Mr. Speaker? Silence. None of them will defend him. Now, Mr. Speaker, we keep talking about this U.S. multilateral assistance treaty, mutual assistance treaty. Let me read to you a few things from this treaty, which, Mr. Speaker, as I said, was passed by the United States Senate. One of the things, Mr. Speaker, which it says, and I quote, "This treaty is not intended to provide to private persons a means of evidence gathering, nor is it intended to extend generally to civil matters." End quote. But there's a civil matter filed in the name of the people of Bermuda, and the Attorney General says there's no violation of treaty. When asked if he was contacted, the Attorney General demurred. However, it says clearly in the treaty, if I may read again, Mr. Speaker, in each state, the central authority is to be the Attorney General or a person designated by the Attorney General. The AG is the one who gets contacted. The AG is the one who knows. But he won't tell us a very simple question, whether or not he was contacted. But we're just going to stop asking the question, Mr. Speaker, because it will be a matter of public record as we've made it. He was contacted. That is a fact, Mr. Speaker.